Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 4105. Today's date is 15th of June 2026. It's been almost like a night at 10:45 p.m. Okay, there is a kind of like one thing actually happened. Okay, worst thing actually happened. Like I didn't went to work out today. Why? Okay, so usually let me tell you what exactly happened. So today I wake up early morning and I like basically my morning schedule is a kind of like a very much tight. Like I have to be read my book Principia of Mathematica by Isaac Newton. Then I have to be read my book. Okay. Then I have to be play several games. Okay, like Duolingo, Elevate, Lumosity, Brilliant, and there is new application game Spark, which is also kind of like a really brain training application. And because of this thing, it kind of consumed my entire morning. Then, then I went to the hospital for some sort of reason for my mother, and then I came back at almost like a 1:30. Okay, 1:30 probably. I ate my lunch and then I sit in front of my computer. My today's task is that I have to be kind of like simply debug my application. There is a lot of kind of like a box and things and that. Okay. Specifically, there is a one specific error that key Google API kind of like a simply error. Okay, that bug. Now that bug is always kind of like a showing in my Logcat. I'm kind of like a mention lot of stuff, lot of kind of like a word regarding about app development. I'm trying to explain okay what exactly happened. I'm just kind of like a blunt it out. Okay, let me just blunt it out. So I'm kind of like a getting this Google API kind of like a some bug error, and I have to fix that error. So I like every single time this kind of like a bug error is actually available in my Logcat in error. Okay, like a red in color. So I'm actually using Android agent. Okay, app development agent. Like Android Studio has its own agent, AI agent, kind of like a simply help me to build my application. And also I have a ChatGPT. Okay, so basically is this thing I put this kind of like a Logcat in my agent and kind of like a try to do research regarding about why am I kind of like getting this error again and again. Now agent kind of like a went deep. Okay, yeah, kind of like a layer by layer we kind of like a figure it out what kind of like a error actually happening regarding about this, regarding about that, regarding about that, back and forth with agent to ChatGPT to agent, kind of like a things. Oh yeah, there are so many things. I'm kind of like a fixing that bug, and I fixed that bug. Okay, Google API kind of like a things is a error is actually fixed, but then there is another error actually kind of like a somebody established. I have to solve this error. I'm kind of like a fixing this error, and it's been almost like a 7 p.m. Now basically is this thing I almost kind of like a somebody try to fix that error at 7 p.m. But I thought that should I kind of like go to the workout or not. I thought that no, let's do not do workout. Like basically, let's fix this error first. I thought maybe kind of it will gonna took me half an hour. Within a half an hour, I would kind of like fix this error. But this does not really happen. Nothing really at all. It took me almost like a 10 p.m. So I was kind of like sitting in front of my computer since almost like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. non-stop for almost like 8 hour. Yeah, literally 8 hour. Okay, non-stop. And right now I'm kind of like a very kind of like a thumb that kid do what the fuck is that. By the way, I fixed that error. Okay, I found the culprit. I kind of like, there is a lot of kind of like, even if I'm kind of like using agent, like if you're thinking that now since I'm using AI agent, so everything is kind of like very easy, right? Well, it's easy, but it's not that easy. Like a AI is not a kind of like a something that can make your work kind of like a something so easy. No, there is a lot of stuff like I realized something like since I'm kind of like using AI a lot in every single day, every single time. AI is a tool. Yeah, literally I was kind of like thinking that na ki since the AI is a kind of like a market in a such a way that click this, within a one click you will kind of like a build the application, within a one click you will kind of like a build the entire application, entire website, within a one click you will kind of like a do this, do that, do that, do that. And there are so much amount of hype regarding about the internet, regarding about this and that and that. But AI is not okay. Yeah, AI is a kind of like a still stupid, like a still in real life scenario, still it kind of like a do lot of fuck, lot of shit. I'm not saying that ki, like it's kind of like a make the process kind of like a much more easier. Like basically even if I try to manually found this error, probably I would not gonna found this error. It will gonna took me almost like a weeks to kind of like a found this error. But right now it gonna took me a kind of like a somebody just a day. Okay, so which is kind of like a somebody good. It's not really that wrong, it's kind of like really okay, fine. Okay, but still is this saying that key building application through AI, like it's not a kind of like a things that you just. But also is this thing now my application is a kind of like a very dense. Okay, there is a lot of thing, lot of kind of like a, like let me tell you one thing. In my application, in my artifact application, how many files do I have in like how many like the kind of like a project, artifact project, how many kind of like a files means what, like a Kotlin file. Kotlin is a kind of like a kind of like is this thing now, a project is a kind of like a made of multiple files. Like have you seen a kind of like a multiple screen on the application, like a, let's say, home screen, profile screen, setting screen, this and that and that. These screens are kind of like a design in kind of like a something that key XML and kind of like a Kotlin, a lot of stuff. Okay, yeah. So basically in my file I have almost like a 103 files. 103, sorry, not 103, probably more than that, literally. It's more than that. Okay, Gradle files, Kotlin files, XML files, then kind of like a something, then like there is a lot of kind of like some files, so many files. Okay, yeah. I'm kind of like a figure it out this and that and that and that. It just like lot. Okay, but it kind of like really helped me, like the agent, Android agent is a kind of like a really helping me to kind of like a build my application, which is kind of like a feel really good. Because from my point of perspective, if I'm kind of like a decided that will I able to be create this application, it's not like literally my application is just a very simple application, like just a recording application, and kind of like somebody create a platform where people kind of like record the audio, share their audio in the platform and things and that. It's a very kind of like a very simple application. But no, there are a lot of kind of like a backend actually happening. Like basically is this thing now, let me tell you one thing. The app, the application you kind of like a download in your mobile phone, it kind of like a look like just a kind of like it's a simple kind of like a simple app and things. But there are so much amount of things actually going on, so many amount of screen and things and that and that. Okay, I was kind of like somebody thinking that there is a kind of like one application, their UI is a kind of like a so beautiful, like literally is one of the beautiful. Elevate is a kind of like a some brain training application that I'm kind of like using to things and that. Okay, so this application, this UI is kind of like really good. Like the games and kind of like a way that they makes the UI is like wow, like a really great. Okay, now I was kind like right now I'm kind of like a designing like right now I'm kind of like a doing this app development. and kind of like a scene that ki, oh my god, like basically my application is kind of like a so basic, nothing really at all, still have almost like a hundreds of files. Okay, now imagine that, like if you know, never really kind of like experience this game, so download this game Elevate. It's actually available in Play Store and iOS App Store. The UI is a kind of like a mind blowing, like really good, really great, with kind of like a vibration, with kind of like a UI. Everything is kind of like really good. There are so many elements are actually moving, graphics are actually moving, everything's kind of like really good and really great. Okay, yeah, and everything is kind of like a works so smoothly and things and that. I wanted to know that ki how much kind of like a, this Elevate project file, how much they have kind of like a file. Probably they might have kind of like a thousands of kind of like a something files. Yeah, thousands. I don't know. Like basically, this thing, it's a kind of like a some pieces of puzzle. Like basically, what I realized through the app development. Okay, yeah, app development is a kind of like a some pieces of puzzle. Okay, yeah, you have to be attached that pieces of puzzle. But the problem is that na, the slot that you seen on the puzzle, that you kind of like a hold one piece to another, that slot is not kind of like a exist, or that slot is kind of like a broken. It's a kind of like a things that na, ki you are kind of like a digging a kind of like a dinosaur bone and try to figure it out how the kind of like a dinosaur look like from the dinosaur bone, which is kind of like a millions of year ago. Solving that kind of like a puzzle, that how does kind of like a dinosaur look like and things and that it is kind of like that. It's not that, but kind of like that. Okay, because still app development is kind of like a very much confusing and things like a, basically you have to do lot of stuff. Like a, basically is this thing that key, if the user does not click on that button, and if the user click on somewhere, then what will gonna happen? Then basically is this thing. Okay, so this is a kind of like a things. Okay, so I have a two button. Okay, yeah, like after user record the artifact, they have kind of like a two option: review the artifact or save into the draft. Okay, yeah, now I have a code, I written the code. When the user kind of like a click on the review artifact, then what will kind of like happen? When the user click on the save into the draft, what will kind of like happen? So I have written code over there. But what if user didn't really click over there, and they click kind of like a somewhere, like a, basically they click on that cross icon. So when that cross icon click, so what exactly happened? Does artifact deleted or what? Or maybe if the user kind of like a click somewhere on the screen, then what will gonna happen? So this is a kind of like a code you have to do this thing. Okay, like every possible scenario, that when the user click on there, then what will gonna happen? And if you do not code over there, like a, basically you do not code, like a, basically is this thing, there is a kind of like empty screen over there. Okay, there is a two button, you kind of like a written the code for those two buttons. Okay, like what will gonna happen after the user click on that button, what will gonna happen after user click on that button. Okay, yeah, but user does not click on that button, user kind of like a click on empty kind of like a screen over there, or kind of like a things and that. Okay, yeah, so in that situation, app went crash. Okay, yeah, because there is no code exist. Okay, when the user kind of like a click on somewhere, so there is no code exist, so app went crash. And when the app went crash, then it just kind of like creates a bug, and you have to figure it out where that bug came from. Okay, yeah, then you have to figure it out, oh, this and that and that, like you have to kind of like a lot of things. Like basically in the modern kind of like a thing, there are so many kind of like buttons and things and that you have to kind of like a code regarding about what does this button do, what does this button do, what does this button do, what will kind of like a user click on that button, what will gonna happen if the user does not click on that button, what will gonna happen. Okay, like everything you have to kind of like a things and that. It's a kind of like a things you have to code everywhere to kind of like a make the application so smoother and things and that. Yeah, even if I have kind of like a using agent, still it's kind of like a somebody so much, like a so much kind of, it's not difficult, but it's like it's a very like I'm kind of like a learning every day anew. Okay, yeah, like basically this thing, I'm kind of like understanding this particular context, that key, first of all I have to understand the context regarding about what exactly action and things and that, because I am completely unaware of this kind of like assembly that key coding language. So I kind of like use ChatGPT to kind of like simplified this code for me simple language, so that I would gonna understand. ChatGPT kind of like explain me in simple language, I understand. Then I kind of like give the suggestion that I want that, I want this, I want that. Then kind of like a ChatGPT kind of like give the prompt. I use that prompt to kind of like give into the agent will try to kind of like try to fix the code regarding about what exactly what I said. It kind of like give me a report. I copy this report, put it in ChatGPT. Then I kind of like put that key, explain me simple language. ChatGPT kind of explain me. I read that context. I understand. Okay, this is really good. This is really great. Then I try to kind of like sorry, like a review that does this kind of like assembly that implementation actually happen or not. After the implementation, there is a kind of like some sort of error actually happened in the logcat. I copy that thing, put it in the ChatGPT. Kind of like a ChatGPT kind of like a recommend this might gonna happen. You have to verify this particular process. Then kind of like a create me a prompt for asking me to the agent. Then I kind of like a somebody copy that prompt into the agent will try to verify look all my files and things and that. There are kind of like a so much back and forth through ChatGPT to agent to kind of like things, lot of stuff. Yeah, but it's good, it's kind of like a things that I'm kind of like a learning and things and that. So yeah, I was kind of like thinking that if my application will kind of like be developed within a month because I'm using kind of like an agent, but it's not. It's definitely not. I'm not really sure. Yeah, like it gonna take maybe month. Okay, yeah. Like app is almost done, but kind of like something not fully developed. Okay, because there are kind of like so many bugs are actually over there, and I have to fix that bug. Okay, yeah. Like what exactly this button do, what exactly this button do, what if user does not click on that button, then what will gonna happen. These are kind of like a bugs I have to solve, and this is a kind of like one of the biggest problem. Why? Because of that key in empty canvas you have to draw, you can draw very beautiful painting, but what if you have to kind of like fix a tiny mistake in kind of like a fully furnished painting. You can't fix that kind of like error when fully furnished painting, because it kind of like a create chaos. Okay, yeah. So that's why like basically building application in empty canvas is a kind of like a really easy. You have to give the prompt and agent will kind of like build the application exactly like you. But when it has an error, then you have to kind of like simply find that error and things and that. It is a lot of stuff, like a lot of, yeah. So this is the kind of like problem that I'm facing, and there are so many bugs in my application, so I have to fix that bug. Okay, yeah. How much it's gonna take time, I'm not really sure, but probably it might gonna take a kind of like a month. Okay, yeah. I'm doing every single day, by the way. Okay, yeah. Content creation, I'm not really worried about that, because every day my content is actually uploading, so it's good, it's great. But I'm kind of like focusing on app development, so yeah, I'm focusing on that. All right, I wanted to walk. Okay, and I have to be walk. Yeah, but it's just like that na ki, like basically right now the kind of like a weather is kind of like a really good, like a really great, really kind of like a fun and kind of like a breezing. Right now I'm kind of like a feeling almost like a, wait, let me tell you how much weather is today. Right now it's almost like a, it's showing me 33 degrees Celsius. Okay, but actually I'm kind of like a feeling almost like a 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, like a 25 to 27 probably. Why? Because it's a kind of like a have little bit of cold breeze. Okay, things and that, which is kind of like a feeling really good. Okay, so yeah, should I ask question to myself? Yeah, let's ask question. Oh, at least like I should suppose, like I didn't really went to work out, so obviously I have to be kind of like a somebody just do little bit of kind of like a something walk. Okay, yeah. All right, question is, how can I help someone to succeed today? Oh, that's a really good question. How can I help someone to succeed today? How is it? Let me read this question again. How can I help someone to succeed today? Okay, like basically the question actually asks that, okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? Oh yeah, A couple of days ago, I read a book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I wanted to implement the value that book taught me. How do I supposed to do that? By asking question to myself and giving the honest answer. So I went to ChatGPT, kind of like I said, I read this book. I wanted to implement the value. Suggest me 20 question. ChatGPT kind of like a suggest me 20 question. This is one of those question. Now question it says that key, how can I help someone to succeed today? How can I help someone to succeed today? Can I first of all, can I someone kind of like a somebody help someone to succeed? Okay, let me tell you one thing. Now this is kind of like a somebody my thing. Okay, yeah. Like I will kind of like a give the guidance, or I will kind of like a simply give the things, but I'm not kind of like a guarantee of succeed. Why? Because I don't know the kind of like a how much other person will put the effort. Example, let's just say, okay, that key, like let's just say that key, I have a kind of like idea regarding about a kind of like a somebody such a app that people will kind of like a record their thoughts, share their thoughts in a kind of like a platform. Other people will kind of like a listen their thoughts. Okay, yeah, but no one will gonna know anyone's names and things and that sound really good, like. And I also kind of like give them blueprint regarding about how you're supposed to do that and that and that and that and that and that. Obviously if you follow this thing, you will kind of like get succeed, right? So will that particular person follow that thing? Well, no. Why? The problem is that key basically the how do I supposed to be um how do I supposed to be tell someone succeed or not, or what is actually his success? Okay, let me tell you one thing. Every person defines success from his point of perspective, and everyone kind of like a create the success from the way that he see the world, and the way that he kind of like assembly things like a everyone kind of like a success look very differently. Example, a particular person who kind of like a do a job, 9 to 5 job, and kind of like earning very decent amount of money, but he is really happy. So his point of perspective, he is a succeed. Okay, yeah. A particular person who is earning almost like a lakhs of money, but he might think he's not succeed, so he's not succeed. So basically definition of succeed is not, it does not depend upon how much money other person earn. It kind of like it depends upon what he expected from his life and what he get. Okay, yeah, because satisfaction is a kind of like a things define how much succeed that we want. And this is what it is. How do I kind of like a somebody sure that you will kind of like a succeed? I will not gonna know, because your success is defined by you, not me. I will kind of like a give the kind of like a guideline and things to kind of like a make your life little bit better, but probably success is kind of like a defined by that particular person. I might not gonna give any kind of like a things or that. And also I believe that ki kind of like a somebody is this thing, I can't control other people life or other people thoughts and things, and no, I might kind of like give give the kind of like a something the guidance or suggestion, but I might not gonna change that particular person or things. So my answer is that he can I kind of like give someone help to become succeed in their life? I would not gonna do that. Like I will kind of like give the guidance, but I will not gonna kind of like give them surety of success, because it's not really possible. Definitely not. Okay, another thing is that na ki the particular person who are also kind of like a seeking from someone that ki that particular person will kind of like somebody give me a method to become succeed, then that is also very false hope too. Why? Because, like, let me tell you one thing. I'm living in India, and in here there are kind of like some people are kind of like a extremely believe in something, and they kind of like a believe that because of this person I will kind of like achieve this or achieve that and that and that and that. If you are in that kind of like a particular person, then your life is not in your control. Yeah, literally, like basically it's just, it doesn't really make sense at all, no? Like, why are you kind of like a somebody expecting someone, that someone kind of like a give you a kind of like a somebody path of success and path of succeed and things, nothing really at all. No one will kind of like a do anything at all. Okay, yeah, there is always a kind of like a hidden motive regarding about that. Your life decide by you, not anyone else. So what was a kind of like a thing that na ki, like, okay, like basically other people might gonna kind of like give the guidance and things, I also might gonna give the guidance or maybe suggestion, but I will not gonna surety of success of you, and neither you shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a expect a kind of like a succeed from someone said, because it's not really good. You have to be kind of like a rely on yourself, understand yourself, but still people are kind of like a very lack of it. Okay, yeah, right now I'm kind of like saying all those stuff is because of I'm recording artifact. I connect with myself more, I understand myself more, even if I'm kind of like a spend almost like a 8 hour in front of my computer and still kind of like a feel good. Okay, like it's never like it's not really feel like that I'm kind of like a somebody dizzying and things. Why am I kind of like a doing? Because I believe in my effort, I believe in my future, I believe in my work. I do that, and one day I will definitely do that. How?
कौन बोल रहे हैं
So this is my suggestion regarding about that. All right. So this is it. I have to end here. Thank you.